So for those of you who are new, this is your first Lunch and Learn. This is our second one, but we're still building the community. I'm Erin Riley. If you've never met me before, right here, hello in yellow. And you're going to get to meet a lot of the others. Hopefully, we're just getting the community off the ground. We're trying, these hours go by super fast. So we are also trying to build community via our XR Alliance listserv, which Anna can put in the chat, and also through Slack. So if you haven't joined the Slack, please do that. Our goal is to, foster community, start conversations, hopefully, possibly get some research off the ground. So one way to do that is we're starting with a survey to kind of get a flavor of where everyone is at in regards to XR here on campus. So please make sure to fill out that survey, which we'll put in the chat as well today. Fill it out today. I'm passing it over to you, Sven. You're running this one.
Yeah, very good. Hi, everyone. My name is Sven Otel. Some of you may have met me last month at the first Lunch and Learn. I'm in the Department for Theater and Dance, and I lead a program called Integrated Media for Live Performance. My interest is usually in integrating media into a live storytelling experience. And we focus on human-centered design, which is why I bring up hybridity. So we don't have a whole lot of time, so I was going to give you a quick overview real quick. I'm going to talk a little bit about hybridity as a word and about words in general and terminology. Then we're going to break out into groups, and every group gets to discuss a word or a piece of jargon, so we can start to demystify some of that jargon and maybe come to an agreement on what of these words mean, and start building a community of people who hopefully feel like they understand these terms better as a group. And then we're going to hear from two companies and representatives of companies that are using some form of hybridity or XR, where they're mixing physical and digital, and both with a view to learning. And then we have a Q&A section. So I just also, my computer just crashed just before the beginning of this, so I'm sort of scrambling a little bit, but I think I still have all my notes. Anyway, I think this is probably the reality for most of us, that sooner or later something goes wrong that we have no control over. So hybridity, why do I bring this up at all? So a lot of us probably are bombarded with different types of terms and technological terms when it comes to extended reality or mixed reality, virtual reality. There are terms like presence, immersive experiences, et cetera, et cetera. These words have different meaning to different people, but at the same time, I find I'm a big fan of words. English is my second language, as no doubt you can hear. So I have an affinity for words because I feel they help me filter through the noise. When I can name something, I hope somebody will understand what I'm actually saying, or we find something we can agree on. I also, I assign a lot of power and potential to words, provided that we all know what that word means. And unfortunately, when it comes to technology, a lot of times the words and the terminology gets introduced to us before everybody knows what that word means. So, for example, we now know, what the term smart home means, or smartwatch, or smartphone even, or smart speaker. But, if you told anyone, a year before the first smart assistant or smart speaker was introduced about the word, nobody would have had an idea what that actually is. So we learn a lot of times in retrospect to assign meaning to these words. So I feel that way about XR and MR and AR and VR. And some of those words have been around longer than others. So I have resorted to just looking at hybridity as a useful, almost, let's say, like an aid to express what I'm interested in. So the word hybrid itself, of course, is a very old word, but it means a definition that I find interesting is that it's a mixture where we take two objects with different functions and using them to create a new object with new qualities and combine qualities from all the components of the original objects. Now, this, of course, is very general, and it doesn't refer to spaces or entities. It refers to objects, but I still like to think that by combining qualities from different items and making something new is a very interesting concept. I also want to acknowledge that hybridity itself has different connotations and meanings in different parts of science and research. So I'm really looking at hybridity in the context of arts and live performance arts in particular, which very quickly goes into live entertainment. It has very different meaning in different areas of work. For example, I want to give you some examples of how it's used in the arts currently. So I'm going to skip to this slide on the right. This is a very popular example right now. This is, of course, Edward Hopper's Nighthawks, and on the left, and you have the same gentleman walking through a 3D model of Edward Hopper's Nighthawks on the right. It works for the camera because, of course, all the angles are correct. The perspective is correct for the camera, but it's a good example of human-centered design and hybridity in the sense that the subject and the viewer, the subject is the painting, and the viewer is also our guide here, and it takes the scale of the human into consideration, and it is made for the human. So we see quite a successful integration here. This is, if you want to look it up, this is a BBC art show done in the UK. The reason why I picked this out is also because it's, of course, using a piece of art and turning it into a digital derivative piece of art. So it's almost twice hybridity in the sense that you have a human in this new medium, but that medium also features a derivative of the original, or a hybrid of the original piece of art, because it's made with digital technology. So this artwork has actually only been able to be built because of the digitalization of our world, meaning pixels, computation, etc., etc. Otherwise, none of this would be possible. And so I want to draw a little bit attention to that fact as well, that because of computation and the development of pixels and any kind of PC-based operation, we are now able to transform former physical objects and physical workflows into virtual and digital workflows. So, and by enabling this, we have also enabled a hybridization of our world, whether we are aware of it or not. Even when we are holding a smartphone and we're taking a photograph, we are looking at two realities at once. So our world is already heavily hybridized. One more thing I want to draw attention to, because that is very dear to a lot of my colleagues, is that there is an idea of hybridity with regards just to something that we're looking at. And it can be pushed a little bit further when we talk about human-centered design. Human-centered design generally refers to when we're serving. I can read this out. We can create objects and systems that meet our diverse psychological, cultural, and biological needs. We can be intentional about the technologies we build. We can reflect on and direct the course of the technological change. But the human is always in the center of it, and it is a human and relationship, and sometimes contra. Some people think it's actually an adverse relationship because the technology is there to serve the design for the subject or the humans in the space. Now, I'm quite interested in thinking about this a little bit further, considering that technology now starts to have a very integrated role in our lives. And we're even, of course, looking into AI-powered devices and AI-powered narratives. And we are looking at technology that basically aids us and sometimes makes something that we can't do well ourselves and aids us to do that well or better than we can do it ourselves. Sometimes it actually does something completely new. So it's entirely possible that we are entering a hybridity in a completely different way, in the sense that we are now coexisting to some degree with technology, and we do not have a human and relationship, or a relationship with technology, but a human and relationship. So we're actually working together to create a design. And and I am by no means an expert. I'm just very curious about these things, and I'm very interested in storytelling. And so I just want to use these thoughts as a jumping off point to look at technology and look at solutions. And we can discuss all these things a little bit later. I'm happy to share links and articles that I find interesting with you all. And I'm going to show you one more slide. This is all kind of old and new tech, really, which is, and we all get bombarded with these types of technologies daily. So we have a new type of immersive experiences, which is for once not a dome, is this tube-like thing where our entire vision is immersed in whatever imagery is shown there. Then we have what was called a Cave 2, which is a circular projection environment. Then over here we have this giant truss-supported screen system where the floor is also projected on. That's at some point was the largest VR lab in the world. And then this is from the 80s, that's at NASA, where somebody was training to solve a maneuver in space with a very early prototype headset. This is just pretty much a run-of-the-mill dome experience, as many people have seen, but it is immersive, and it can be called XR by some people. And then this is a picture from the Void, with the Void experience, where people basically experiencing both physically and visually being in a completely different world, which goes into the idea of presence and immersion and 6 degrees of freedom, all of which we will hopefully discuss now in small groups. So my hope is that we can break into groups of 6, and you can discuss amongst yourselves in these small groups how you would define one of these terms that we picked out as very common terms, but they're also open to interpretation, just to maybe come to some agreement and develop a common understanding what they mean, but also learn how to talk about them, because words are really clumsy and awkward when it comes to this technology. So Anna, can you help me create these breakout rooms?
Absolutely.
Can I I don't have a question per se, but this last slide makes me think that one of the projects we may need, and this is for maybe this is for a different time, but one of the projects we should have is trying to get something like this off the ground at UT. One of these bigger installations, labs, something that is, makes UT puts UT on the map.
Yeah, I think I have to say one of my hopes is that through building this community, we might actually learn that a part of one of these maybe already exists somewhere, because we have so many amazing people and resources on campus. And one of the ideas behind this community is that we learn from each other about each other. So my hope is that maybe one of these things already exists somewhere. We just don't know it.
Yeah, or bits or pieces that we
Yeah.
can finally all bring together,
Right.
into
Exactly.
one space.
Have you guys, have you guys visited the 2 TAC labs?
The one in POB, no, Paul, you have been there, and the new one. So it's kind of like a cave 2, small, because we had the towers that they can move. So the cave 2 is all fixed, and in our case, Rattler can be reconfigured.
Luis, will you put that info in the chat so we can capture that? With a link like where we could see it, that'd be awesome.
Of course, it's COVID nowadays, so that's the thing.
Right. It's like my lab has a lot of the headset there, but it's locked right now. And I've been trying to get the green screen studio where we could do some of this in the 6th floor of Moody's CMB building, but only a certain amount of people can attend right now in that space.
Or maybe a future project of ours is to just gather the inventory of all the XR equipment that we have on campus. Like I have, 15 Microsoft MR kits and, a couple of HoloLenses and all that kind of stuff. And everybody, if we pull it together, we might be pretty amazed by what we have.
Sure. But I also think through these conversations are opportunity to discuss what to use them for, to make you create something better that previously is not possible, right? Which again, that's why I brought this idea of hybridity also up, because we can combine old and new tech and maybe create something better that previously wasn't possible. So having a concept would certainly help me and probably motivate other people to see potential, right?
Yeah.
Do we want to do those breakout rooms, Anna?
By the way, Anna, there is a feature in Zoom that just lets you randomly select people and throw them into a room.
Yeah, I'm opening them up right now. I just wanted to tell everyone that the topic that you will be discussing in your breakout room will show up when it says go into breakout room 4, 5, 6, whatever. And I'll broadcast to everyone when it's time to start coming back, and I'll probably be popping into different breakout rooms. So I'm going to go ahead and open them up now.
I want to get to know the people in my breakout room more.
I'm sorry, we only have the lunch hour, so I felt we have to regather to get to our 2 presenters.
Yes.
So we have guests from Recourse and from Win Reality. Both are using a mixture of old and new technology to push the envelope, and it's probably useful starting off point for a discussion. So I think rather than me talking more, we should look at the presentations and hear from the experts. So Jim, do you want to go first?
Sven, never to use the term expert in my name in the same sentence.
Yeah.
So no, I really appreciate it. And thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for being here. My name is Jim Spencer. I'm a longtime media and technology entrepreneur. I teach over in the Moody College with Aaron. And I just wanted to thank Aaron and Sven for kindly including us in this conversation. Recently, we formed a company called Recourse, and our co-founder and president and chief operating officer is that handsome fellow sitting in the chair with his legs crossed, and that's Adam. And we currently have McCombs Business School as a customer. I'm going to let Adam walk through the problems that we solve for and how we solve for them. And then in the spirit, Sven, of what you were talking about, I'm very pleased to report that McCombs is quite happy with the solution that we have built for them in fairly short order, and they would like to expand it. As part of that expansion, and if you have your pens and paper or tablets or phones or whatever ready, at 1:30 p.m. on Friday in Rolling Hall, which is right over by the AT&T Executive Center, but on the 3rd floor, we're going to be doing a socially distanced demo of the solution that we've put together. And I'd like to if you're looking for something to do besides join a Zoom call, please come visit us on Friday at 1:30. With that, I'd like to introduce Adam Ryan. Adam is coming to us live from inside of the studio that we use to, we call it the Instructor Studio. So Adam, you want to take it from here?
Sure. Thanks everyone for having us. I'm using a nice camera to make myself look better, and I took a fine. But our company is Recourse. We consider ourselves a learning technology company that was created to help deliver and create high interaction in the classroom. And the goal of that was to create interaction in a way that students and teachers have always done it, but no matter the method that they was delivering. One of those new words or old words that have been used a lot, of course, is hybrid classrooms. But what does that mean? Does that mean a professor's in class teaching students at home? Does that mean they're at home with students in class? There's a lot of different definitions. I also enjoyed that exercise. We have at times struggled with, are we immersive video experience? Are we augmented reality, a mixed reality? A lot of these words are still new, so I'm excited for this to help us establish those further. Our main problems that we were solving for originally back, right after COVID, we've been working on a high bandwidth solution that involved something around content. COVID hit, we really pivoted to education. We looked to allow the choice for students to come to class in a socially distanced way, to give them that choice. We looked to keep at-risk professors safe and improve the online experience. And so those were the three original kind of North Stars that we were looking to solve for. So far, what we've been able to do is create an Instructor Studio that few people have access to, that we clean regularly, that we keep safe. Then we've using hologram technology, created this mixed reality experience. So students come to a classroom, they sit down, they see a stage, and then they see a life-size professor that can point at them, that can look them in the eye, that can see them and interact with them in real time. And then students at home see this. They see a full body 4K view of the professor. So far, we've done just about 25 hours of class time at McCombs, and it's going pretty well. For a startup to survive, they say, is good, but we're doing a little bit better than that in the classroom. Our professor loves this. They have a better view of actually the students both at home and in the classroom. In front of me, which we'll show some pictures in a bit, I have 3 monitors. One, they're all about 70 inches. One gives a view of the folks on Zoom, and then 2 are views of the classroom. And then and students are loving it. At first, which is kind of odd, they came to the class and pulled out Instagram. I was like, what's your Instagram handle? I got to take a picture of this. This is crazy. And now they sit down and they raise their hand and they interact with it like it would be no different. So definitely hologram technology has been around for a long time, but doing it in a live format with low latency is fairly new. And that's what we're doing, and allowing that interaction to be more real and to be more valuable in a classroom. So that's who we are.
Great. And again, I want to just remind you that we're doing a demo. Sometimes these things are a lot easier to see and to understand than they might be to explain. I think that Adam did a really good job. But if you are interested in education, if you are interested in XR, this is something that we would hope that you would please come take a look at and maybe spread the word to others at UT that there is a pretty interesting solution that's being used right now. But with that, we're also here to answer any questions.
Jim, I just like to point out for those of you who have not seen this, that Adam is actually, he's chroma keyed out of a green background. So that's one of the things that these two technologies have in common. And that is also a very old technique in a way. but it's used in a new way with new technology, which is something that I find personally very attractive and fascinating, how we reinvent combining new technology with old technology.
Sven, that's an excellent point, and that's exactly what we did. Given the time frame that we had to build it, somewhere between July 4th and August 17th, I think is the amount of time that we had. And it's been a pretty good. UT has been fantastic to work with. Their feedback has been very succinct and very actionable. We got our contract done with the University of Texas at Austin in less than 2 weeks. It is something I think that the university is looking to try to come up with a solution for, and they've been great to work with.
So if I understand this correctly, Adam is standing in for the professor. The professor stands in the studio, and the people, and he can see the monitors of the students where he's standing. And when he moves around, that is directly transmitted into the classroom where the students are, and they can see their own projector in real life size, because he's being projected like a hologram. As much as I would normally stay away from that word, but it seems to mean something to more people than me.
Right. No, I'm with you.
We should have added that to the definitions discussion.
No, it does, and it fits in. I mean, it's like with most of the other technologies. I was just talking with one of the people in the breakout room. I helped start a very early search engine in the United States called Ask Jeeves. And we had to call it a question and answer service because no one knew what a search engine was. If you said search engine to someone, they'd go out, they'd open the hood of their car, and they'd look at the engine in their car. They really didn't know. So we are all kind of working on what the terms are going to be.
And you, go ahead.
There's a question that says, how many holograms can participate at once?
Is that the right question to even ask?
How many professors?
Mm-hmm. Or students, or?
Sure. So right now we teach using a single professor at this point in the game. I transmitted to about 40 students, half of which are in a socially distanced classroom, or maybe 3/4 of a socially distanced classroom, and then the other 25% are joining by Zoom. And one of the things that we wanted to do was give professors a choice and give the students a choice on how to teach. I just got done teaching a 3-hour class on Monday where I was wearing a mask the entire time. And I really worked to be as effective as I could. We had 3 students in an auditorium that usually would seat 230. And then we had the rest of the students online. And so, just from some of the challenges that I've seen as a lecturer at UT, we want to try to be able to provide both the students and the professor a greater range of choices than either in a mask in the classroom or at home on Zoom.
Yeah. Longer term, if you kind of think about, okay, post-COVID, what does this look like? Real life example that we're working with McCombs on is that they have an MBA program in Houston, they have an MBA program in Dallas, they use faculty from Austin. They also can't offer electives, right? Because in Houston and Dallas, they only have 20 students. No one wants to just automatically be forced to take a Zoom class post-COVID. Post-COVID, we could offer elective classes for all 3 of those cohorts in Dallas, Austin, and Houston. It gives more choice of personalization of class, which is a more valuable program. But the holograms will actually be in the Dallas, Austin, and Houston at the same time, with faculty being able to see them interact there at the same time. So expansion of campus is definitely part of the possibilities here post-COVID. And then I would say the other one is interaction time. It's funny, I know all of you have probably your laptop. I see some people like zooming in and doing that, right? I can see you all a lot easier than you can see me probably, right? And I have a friendly producer in a control studio who can send me messages at any time on my monitor that says, hey, there's a question from Juan. Hey, Mary just asked us something in chat. So what we've realized is the interaction time between teacher and student is significantly faster, which then helps the fatigue of I do have a stage manager essentially. But the interaction time of student and teacher is significantly faster and more real life, which students online so far have really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm sorry to have to tell you that we have to move on to the second presentation. This is so interesting.
No worries at all, and thank you again for allowing us to attend. 1:30 on Friday, third floor rolling. If you're interested, please come. Thank you.
I shared your website address with everyone as well. So
Oh, great. Thank you, Sven.
So
Of
if there
course.
are additional questions, let's put them in the chat, and maybe Jim, you can follow up with them there as we move on.
Or you can just say, hey, Jim, maybe you can mute yourself. Just kidding.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
So this is one green screen application with a hologram that's being beamed into classrooms. Jesse, are you ready to talk about your application?
Yeah, we're just getting set up here. We'll go ahead and jump in. All right, I'll be jumping over here real quick. Grab my notes. Just wanted to walk in, say hello to everybody. Like Sven said, my name is Jesse Easton. I'm here at the Win Reality field, as you can see. And so one of the things that we do, and to tell you a little bit about my company at Win Reality, my role is the Director of Technology and Innovation. And so a lot of times I'm running the technology division and also the research and development side of things. I graduated last year under Sven with an MFA in integrated media. A lot of my focus has to do with human-centered storytelling.
Did y'all hear that?
I did. I think his mic ran out of battery.
Yeah, I can't hear Jesse anymore.
It sounded like a lot of static, a lot of
Yeah, it's usually
background
the
noise.
sound a mic makes when the battery goes out. Yeah. Now that's reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, much
we
better.
can.
There we go. All right. Little technical difficulties. We got it. All right. Well, I'll go back a little bit just so we stay on schedule here. So I'm Jesse Easton. I'm not sure how far we got, but I work with Win Reality. I'm the Director of Technology and Innovation. At Win Reality, we train athletes how to be better using virtual reality. So we use technology of virtual reality to train the athletes, specifically baseball and softball athletes, on how to hit a ball. So that's why you see me here on the field. And I'll talk a little bit about why we're on this field and why we're using mixed reality to actually showcase our software. And so let's go ahead. So here at Win Reality, we recently have been able to develop a software that allows for better use case. With the upcoming release of Oculus 2, some of you might have gotten it yesterday. It just came out yesterday. We're about to release our newest software that is going to be a consumer face. Before, we were working with universities like University of Texas, and also working with Major League Baseball teams on a larger scale. But with the Oculus 2, we're now able to send that to thousands of homes across America, to where kids can start training just like the pros do. Now, one of the challenges with going to thousands of homes instead of just a few universities and major league teams is, how do we show them how to actually use our application? So during the summer, we had to come up with a way to actually train people in a virtual sense. And so we started looking at how we can use mixed reality to show our clients. And we created Win University, which we'll dive a little bit into. But Win University is our system that is multiple video points, just like the last presentation, using technology like mixed reality to show and teach people how they should be using our application. So a little bit about why we chose why we chose mixed reality. We're gonna do a really cool effect here, I can transition real quickly into my lab space. So as you can see, in just one click of a button, I can be in a completely different room. So this is kind of what mixed reality allows us to do, is interact with different environments all at once. It allows us to show our clients different things and different elements all at once using a system through a game engine. So our application and our VR application uses Unity, which then translates onto the headset and allows them to play basically, in a sense, a video game on their headset that helps them train. But what we can do then is use that same game engine to set up a room just like this and to actually interact with. And so once we set up that room and we set up the interaction, we can then start recording it so that we can have a personal video for people to watch. So we've then added that, all of our videos we've recently have created, and we've added it into a website. And that website, like I mentioned earlier, is Win Reality. So I'm going to show you a little bit of Win Reality. If we go ahead and transition and show, this is our Win University. As you can see, this is our new website that we've just launched. And there's a whole bunch of videos that you can go through and look at and get training on certain aspects. If you have a question about, all right, well, how do I log in? Or how do I turn on a certain function of the bat? Or how do I understand if my swinging mechanism is actually where I should? You can go to the Win University, quickly go to the video that you want to see, and then it pops up a mixed reality video that allows us to be a little bit more personal, to really show you what you should be clicking on, how you should be interacting. Because sometimes with this new technology and new forms, we needed a way to easily show how our clients should be going about. So we're going to watch one video real quick. If we can, we're getting that pulled up right now. We're going to go and watch our talent show you guys how our application works. So let's go ahead and see if we can get that pulled up. So as you can see, here is an example of our mixed reality videos. Right now they're showing our clients what pitch recognition looks like. They're standing on the same field that I was just on, and they're showing you what you're looking for when you're doing our application. But one of the great things, since it's a game engine, we can actually interact and show people how they can interact with the environment all at one time. So as they go through, they're being a little bit more personal, and they're trying to understand what it is that the user ends up needing. And they can make it feel like you're part of the team with them. So when you put on the headset, you stand exactly where they are. And it allows for the storyline that allows you to feel like you're part of our talent. The two guys that you see here, Adam and Andrew, are the talent in all of our videos. And they highlight how everything can work within our system. So we want the user to feel like they're friends with these guys. And by doing mixed reality videos, they get to understand what it's like to be there. So we have a whole bunch of videos on this, and that's a little bit of what we can do. Let's go ahead and go back to the field. So again, we can cut back and forth to any different scenes. We can constantly show our clients different things that they want to do. And as you can see here, we can also do this live in person. So what you're probably wondering is, just like on the last one, how is this all done? Well, it's one of the things that we were a little skeptical when we first started going down this route, trying to understand, all right, what do we want to create WinU with? And we started realizing there's a lot of easy tools out there. We already had the game engine developed, and we had the kind of the technical side of it ready to go with that. But then we needed to create a green screen room. And so that's where I'm actually standing, is in this green screen room. As you can see, it's just a big curved wall with green screen. And then I use this free software called OBS that allows me to add myself into the environment. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna have my assistant kind of move the camera. As you can see, we've got multiple lighting points, but it's just a simple room that you can set up pretty much anywhere. You can even use a cloth, a green screen cloth, to allow you to put yourself into the environment. All right, so if you want to bring that camera back, and I'll go ahead and put on a headset so I can hear you all, and maybe we can have some questions.
Thank you, Jesse. I know that Recourse also uses OBS as a tool as part of their workflow, so that seems to be very popular.
Yeah, I think the benefits of OBS is specifically for live environments. There's a few other tools that we've been able to use, but when you're wanting to do it live on command, OBS is a free, easy to use software that we were able to put our environment in. When we created the WinU videos, the Win University videos, we recorded a lot of them and then we took it into Cinema 4D to kind of give it a little bit more effects and a little bit more appeal. That's why you can see shadows on the ground when you watch those videos.
I mean, personally, my questions are more about, okay, you're training athletes. How do those very specific motorical skills and skeletal points, how do they translate into VR? But that may be too specific, so I want to let other people ask questions.
I had a similar question. Are the athletes wearing suits with markers? Are you instrumenting the bats? Or is just image processing?
No, so the thing that they use, and specifically with our consumer product, our athletes literally just have to put on a headset, and that's the only thing that we're really tracking. And the controllers that they use in their hands, we have a device that can attach that controller to a bat to allow us to track their swing movements. But what we're really training for is cognitive skills. So we're training for them to pick up the ball quicker, to understand what's going to be in the strike zone and what's going to be outside of the strike zone. Because what we've seen is that when you understand and you're swinging at the right pitches, you actually get on base more, which is, in baseball, that's a better percentage. And I'll quickly answer, are you tracking eye gaze? Yes, we can track in our more professional setups. We have eye tracking. There's a lot of different possibilities within this, specifically making sure that they're picking the ball up right out of the hand right away. One of the limitations on eye tracking is the actual technology limits to the size that you can actually track and what they're looking for. We know that they're looking somewhere near the ball, but not specifically right on the ball. So a lot of times, specifically for a consumer level product, we probably won't be using eye tracking in that way.
So Jesse, regarding your the OBS and being able to put you in the live stream with extra material, is there anything out there yet to work on shadows in order to make you feel more situated in the space?
Yeah, and shadows are what we've learned is actually shadows and reflections are the biggest thing to make something look natural and feel natural to the watcher, because then they start feeling like they're there. So in our actual application, when you wear the headset, you can kind of get a glimpse of your own shadow. It's faked in some degree, but since we know where your head is, we kind of have a good estimate of where the shadow would lie. Same with like the ball object is going to have shadows and different things. And that's kind of how you make someone feel a little bit more comfortable so they don't get VR sickness. It's one mechanism we use. When we're talking about the OBS and the broadcasting, there are ways that you can add those in. It gets really expensive when you want to do it live, but there are technologies out there that allow for that to happen. And I know I saw a comment about the consumer level product versus our enterprise level product. So the consumer level, the Oculus 2, which I should have grabbed one, we just got a whole bunch in. But the Oculus 2 is $300 a piece of hardware. Now we don't sell that. That's sold by Facebook, versus something like the Vive Pro Eye, which is our enterprise level product. That is roughly around $1,200 or so for the price of that. So a lot different for the users. And then we are a monthly subscription fee. So if you're a consumer level, you're going and paying something around $20 a month. But if you're enterprise, you're using it for a team or you're using it for your hitting facility, you're upwards of $300 a month. To the MLB teams pay quite a bit more than that. But
I'm glad you mentioned motion sickness. Sorry, VR sickness.
Yeah, that's something, especially when it comes to athletes and people who aren't necessarily a part of the XR scene, like all of us are, sometimes have a fear of getting in a VR headset or getting to use it because VR sickness was so prominent a few years ago, and they probably went on one of those 4D rides that you put a VR headset on, and they got sick from that, or they get nervous about the damage it could have on your eyes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of misnomers, misinformation out there right now on VR and the whole XR industry when it comes to talking with other people, specifically people outside of the XR industry.
So, in like common language, would you say that when the world that you see, when that doesn't make any sense because you compare it to the real world, then you get VR sickness?
Yeah, or you don't feel situated in the world. So, you can, if you happen to be sitting and it's a roller coaster ride that you're watching, but you're not moving or there's no wind on you, then you can start feeling really sick because your brain is telling you that you're sitting still with what you're feeling, but then your eyes are telling you that you should be moving. And so it doesn't match up. And that's where VR sickness comes from.
Okay.
And so, but there's also some minute things, like I said, with the shadow and adding just cloud movements. So we did a test with clouds moving in the sky versus no clouds moving in the sky, and realized that people enjoyed the application more and felt less sick when the clouds were moving in the sky. And so it becomes a little bit more real. But that doesn't mean there's applications like or games that feel fake and that are obviously fake, but they have their own ways to ground you into the application.
Thank you, Jesse. We're just running out of time. Before everybody leaves, I just want to thank you, and hopefully also Jim is still there. I think
I'm right here.
Him. Okay, thank you all. This was really informative. I hope it was informative for everybody who took part, and spread the word.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay,
Thanks,
see you later.
everyone.
Thanks, Jesse and Jim and Sven. It was great.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, really interesting stuff. Good work, guys.